Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations and welcome to another Patreon subscriber chart reading. I hope you're well today. As always, I'm super excited to be able to do this and have this opportunity to look at another person's chart, to access their soul's journey, and to share the beauty of evolutionary astrology and to nourish you as the viewer that's wanting to not only connect with what it means to understand soul, but also how we can grow spiritually through using a tool like astrology. So I'm super honored and happy to actually have this opportunities. Okay, so before I get into this, I'd want to let you know that, of course, if you would like to have this opportunity done for you, you can go over to our Patreon page. And in the description below or the comments, there is a link that you click on and it will take you straight to our Patreon page, Raising Vibrations. And you select the Jupiter member. And once you've selected the Jupiter member, you will see there's a post there that says, please give us your date of birth and all of that. And we'll put that on a list for you. And as I go through this list, I will get to your chart and I will post it privately to you as well, okay? So it's a really great way to be able to have information provided to you in a way that, can help you. And maybe if you feel more inspired to actually talk to me one-on-one, you can also do that as well. Okay, so let's get a hack and look at this, what this chart is doing for us over here. Let's have a look. Pluto in the 6th house of the astrology chart, right? Sometimes this can be a really challenging placement to have if there isn't anybody around you that has supported you spiritually within your life, just because of the nature of what Pluto in the 6th house can do. So what is the picture that's associated with this symbolism? I chose this one today for us, Gandhi. It says the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Very profound in terms of the context of a 6th house Pluto. Virgo is the archetype that is ruling the 6th house. Virgo is the archetype that teaches us that we're here to understand ourselves within the context of the bigger globe, the bigger universe. So when we have Pluto coming through the 6th house, one of the deepest soul's desires is to understand the context of its own self in relationship to the totality. And the best way that we do that is by surrendering ourselves, our sense of ego, in relationship to what the outside world is needing. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that your life must be about sacrifice, but it is definitely a part of surrendering your personal needs sometimes to recognize the needs of others and to align yourself with a meaningful existence, i.e. that by allowing this deeper process to occur, whatever information is being provided to you in that moment is deeply awakening you, right? So this is a soul that's got Pluto in Scorpio. And part of the experience over here with Pluto in the 6th house in Scorpio is, how can I empower myself through deeply allowing my sense of self-creation to be present? How can I empower through healing myself? How can I empower myself through aligning with a deeper purpose that brings me into magical moments of awareness, that opens my heart, that opens my creativity? Where is the gentleness? And part of this experience here with Pluto in the 6th, because Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and you're part of the Pluto in Scorpio generation, the tendency here is that you've had to experience lifetimes of mass persecution at a soul level. And that part of your experience of abandonment, loss, and betrayal is a deep feeling of inadequacy, deep feeling of, I'm not perfect enough, I need to be better, which can be the messages that have been encrypted, or not encrypted, pardon me, shared to you, encrypted, but Scorpio archetype, but shared to you through parental figure. And this is a big part of what you're trying to heal yourself from in this lifetime, and to allow deeper cycles of empowerment through self-creation, right? You're becoming aligned and allowing empathy. The polarity point of your Pluto in this chart is the 12th house of the astrology. So this is coming into self-acceptance. This is coming into self-reliance. And what does it mean to be self-accepting? What does it mean to recognize yourself as a being that's got woundedness, that is part of this collective story here? How do you allow yourself to not be comparable to other people where their perfections, quote unquote, creates the feedback within inside of yourself of, I'm not good enough, so therefore there's something wrong with me. How do you allow yourself to be free in saying, okay, maybe there are parts of myself that are not as, perfectly created as I would like them to be, but that's me. I can accept them. So part of this experience is deeply, deeply accepting your own personal self-worth and allowing yourself to have the compassion and self-reflected empathy for yourself, and to then work on deepening your strength around self-reliance, because you are part of the Scorpio generation. You're here to recognize your needs. You're here to allow yourself those needs to be met on a physical level, but also to be recreated. Okay? Talking about recreation, look where the South Node sits. What is the nodal story of this soul? So you've got South Node in the 5th house of the astrology chart, and it's in Libra. And the planetary ruler of Libra, or the South Node, is Venus, which sits in the 4th house, Leo. And you can see there's a huge stellium of symbols there in the 4th house in Leo, right? So we know that the soul in prior life dynamics has actually wanted to be recognized, wanted to be self-created, wanted to say, hey, I exist. I'm here to see and be seen and follow my sense of personal destiny. And there must have been some cycles of validation and recognition through relationships and, really being able to have your emotional needs met. But on some level, there's also a sense of, hey, I need my needs met. I don't know how to express that because maybe I've had some sort of tension exist when I was growing up in life that never allowed that. So I'm working on, or I have been working on, healing myself through being recognized, not only through myself, but through other people. A very similar chart to what we were doing last week with Pluto and the 7th house node, where it was Pluto in the 5th house, South Node in the 7th house, this similar dynamic, learning about self-creation through other people. So what picture do we have for it? The nodes. It's a really interesting picture, and I'm going to try to capture your imagination with this, because obviously what I've been sharing right now has no relation to what I was actually talking about. But look at this picture very carefully. I specifically chose the fingers creating a frame. I specifically chose a picture where part of the story is not actually in physical form yet. It's an imagined experience. It's using vision. It's using a sense of imagination, okay? And it's allowing inspiration to go through. And in the middle, you can see that it's coming into reality. It's coming into focus. It's coming into creation. I really love this picture in the context of the nodal axis in this chart, because if we go back over to the chart, where's the North Node? It's in the 11th house Aries, and the planetary ruler of that North Node is actually sitting here, Mars. So we have a South Node ruler in the 4th house Leo. We have a North Node ruler in the 4th house Leo, and these are actually in what is called a completion cycle to each other, meaning that this soul is in a transition between saying, hey, this is how I've created myself in the past, to I'm figuring out new ways to see and envision my sense of self. It's like, how do I want to see myself? This is an invitation to say, I want to validate, I want to be seen, but I also want to share my vision. But I'm in a process of letting go of some stuff, which I'll get onto with the skip steps in the chart. But I'm also looking how to recreate in a new way, North Node in Aries. So if we have a look at the astrology chart over here, you can see that Neptune is sitting at 5 degrees in the 8th house in Capricorn, and it's making a complete square. It's not actually shown on the chart. There it is, the complete square to the nodes. Now, in evolutionary astrology, whenever a planet makes a square to the nodal axis, we're talking about an energy that is linked with the karma of the soul. So what is the resolution here? What does the soul need in this lifetime to recover aspects of its personality or journey that it's been either pushing aside or neglecting, or just hasn't chosen to work on as a part of the dynamic prior to this life? Okay, so Neptune correlates to what? The desire to dissolve, to come into one's own spiritual awareness through recognizing the absence of duality, right? It's where we are separate and we're wanting to create wholeness. It is a deeply transcendental experience. So the soul wants to dissolve what? It's in the constellation Capricorn in the 8th house. So the soul is dissolving prior life memories and prior life structures in which the container of its self-identity was once used. And so through this process of letting go and transmuting its own self process, or the structures in which it exists within, the rules, the regulations, the family dynamics, the parents' ideas, the traditions, all of that, as the soul begins to progressively break free, let go of, right? It will find deeper self-understanding, and compassion and empathy can rule within that context. And through that, the new vision of the new world and the new home and the new creation exists. So what's your vision? Is the creation, is the story over here. And I love this picture that's associated with the growth cycle of the soul, which is this, right? Or should I say, let's just work with the gift over here. Actually, I'm going to go over to the growth process and go back to the gift. The order's not right for me. Life is a balance of holding on and letting go. Listen to this. Life is a balance, South Node in Libra, Uranus and Saturn in the 7th house, of holding on, right? Merging with, holding on to dreams, holding on to ideals, holding on to visions, and letting go, right? Look at this. Neptune square the nodes, dissolving, right? So having to transcend and let go of dynamics. Look where the 8th house is, Scorpio. Pluto in Scorpio, right? And you can see here as well, look at this. 7th house, dynamics with Saturn and Uranus, and the soul has got Libra there. So there are so many dynamics here in which the soul's relationship to the past and the soul's relationship to the future are on a constant cycle of ending and new beginnings and ending and new beginnings. So what do you know in terms of what is the past and what is the future? What is the direction? What do you hold on to and what do you let go? This is the conundrum within the context of this chart. And it's actually beautiful because when you look here, notice Saturn has an X next to it, and so does Jupiter. Jupiter also has an S next to it. That means that the planets are actually stationary and about to either turn retrograde or direct. Saturn's about to turn stationary, or it is stationary, so it's stopped, and it's going direct. And Jupiter's saying, okay, well, I've just finished my direct motion. Now I'm stationary. I'm going to go backwards. So what does that tell you in terms of the context of this chart? And also look at the phasal relationship between Saturn and Jupiter in the chart as well. There, right? They're a balsamic phase, meaning that the soul is coming into this lifetime with this need to let go of whatever structures, forms, and existences have held the soul's container in the past, the home, and begin to, as you allow that process of breaking free from it and becoming less attached to it and becoming self-aware through empathy, you then are invited through the process of inspiration to find new ways of creating your own vision. So that's why the picture is here. What's the frame structure in which your vision is going to be materializing? And so it's the outer picture coming into the form. How are you coming into form through breaking the old structure and reframing your life in a new way? Pretty neat, isn't it? So this is a very profound experience over here in terms of the context of the chart. And if we go over to the next slide, which was the cycle of gift that the soul carries in this lifetime, what is your gift? What is this potential? And to me, it's that. Are you the director? Are you the person that says, cut, no, I don't want this anymore? Or are you the person that says, I will let other people direct it for me? No, you are here to direct your own play. You are here to come into your fullest form and say, I'm calling the shots, I'm calling the actions, this is my direction, and whatever stays with me is going to be awesome. And the slate, i.e. the actual film cutting device, right, cut, that's going to be gone. And that's how I'm directing my life, through cutting out the old and regrowing the new. Pretty neat, isn't it? Cool. So thanks very much for letting me read your chart, subscriber, and also for everybody's attention regarding these videos. I deeply appreciate that. And don't forget, if you would like to have this chart read by myself, go over to Patreon, check out the Jupiter member. In the description, as well as the comments below, is a link to access that. And yeah, other than that, everybody, have a wonderful week, and thanks very much for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.